everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I needed to get some things cleaned out of my freezer once again. I had a bunch of fish in there, so I pulled it out. It's some hake loins, very similar to a tilapia or a cod. Kind of a very mild, white-fleshed, firm kind of fish. And I said, okay, what am I going to do with this fish? Lots of ideas. I also had a cabbage, which I sliced up on my mandolin really finely. And I had some limes, and I said, I think fish tacos, that would be really good. Don't have any corn tortillas, but I have some regular flour tortillas. I could use that. But then I found some thin bun style bread, and I said, you know what, I'm really feeling a poor boy fish sandwich, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is get our fish started, and I've decided that I want to broil it because I just don't want to mess around with getting my skillet all messy, and sometimes it splatters. I'm just not in the mood for that, so I'm going to put it underneath the broiler in the oven. And it's really simple to do to get a really nice flavor on your fish. Is you just baste it with some seasoned oil, and I like, you know, a little bit of heat and jerk seasoning. This particular jerk seasoning is from Penzeys, which I really like. It's kind of a not terribly hot, got a little spice to it, but a little bit of sweetness to it. It's very typical Cajun, Jamaican kind of flavors. Goes great with chicken and fish. So I'm just going to brush that right over all of my fish, and I'm going to do it quite liberally. We want lots of good flavor, especially on that broiler. This is a very lean fish, so it needs a little bit of extra fat. Now if you want to do this a little ahead of a time and let it marinate just a little bit in this seasoned oil, that would be really good. Alright, we have one side coated. I'm just going to put that coated side down on our baking sheet. And we're going to coat the other side. Be pretty liberal with this. You don't want your fish to dry out under the broiler. Alright, you can do this with just about any fish, but I like a good white fish, and that's what I had to use up today. Alright, we're going to pop this underneath the broiler. And I'm going to broil it on one side. I'm going to put the timer on for about 4 minutes. Then I'm going to check it, and I may have to turn them over. I think I definitely will turn them over because I like them to get nice and brown and kind of crispy on both sides. So let's just pop that right into the broiler. Let's set our timer. 4 minutes. And while that's broiling, set this in the sink. Alright, what to do with the fish once it's done? We have our buns, and I'm going to toast these a little bit, put these back underneath the broiler, toast them up a little bit because I like a little bit of crunch on my bread, but you don't have to. You can leave them just as is. I would heat them up just a little bit. I keep these in the refrigerator so they're very cold. Just heat them up a little bit, zap them in the microwave a couple of seconds, or you know, put them in the toaster, whatever you'd like to do there. But to build your poor boy, you need some good toppings, and I like to put a coleslaw kind of topping, but it's not going to be a regular kind of coleslaw. We're going to start with that fine angel hair style cabbage. It's about a half a cabbage head. It was a pretty good sized head of cabbage, and I've just put it in here. And the sauce for it is reminiscent of a green sauce that we get at one of our favorite restaurants. and I don't know exactly what their recipe is, but I kind of made my recipe based on what I had in my refrigerator, and it's definitely a this and that kind of sauce today. I had about a half a cup of Greek yogurt left, and that's all I had left in the container. I had about a quarter cup of heavy cream left over from something that I needed to use. I didn't have any fresh cilantro, but I do have dried cilantro. So I took about a quarter cup of the dried cilantro and I covered it just barely with warm water and set it aside for about a half an hour just to kind of bring back some flavor, because that dried cilantro just isn't at all like the fresh cilantro as far as that really intense flavor, but it gets pretty good. So I had that softening up, and then I did have a jalapeno pepper, which is always great in a sauce. I removed the seeds and I used the whole jalapeno pepper in here, and a little bit of salt, and I put it all in the blender and I blended it up and I tasted it and I said, this still isn't quite what I'm looking for. It was pretty good, but not quite. So I opened up the refrigerator and saw a bottle of ranch dressing sitting on the shelf, and I said, I bet that might be good. So I put a half a cup of ranch dressing in here as well, along with the juice of a whole lime, and just blended it back up, and I think I've created a pretty good sauce here. Now I'm going to put this over the cabbage and just toss it together like you would a coleslaw. Now this is almost 2 cups of sauce. We don't need near that much. Lucky for us, we're going to have some leftovers, and you can always pass that around if people want a little bit more sauce on their sandwich. But I'm going to put probably about a half a cup in here. Just start with that, because I don't like my coleslaw really soupy wet. I like it just coated. And you don't want to do this too far ahead of time, because your cabbage will get a little limp, and I like it to be nice and crisp when I put it onto that sandwich. Alright, I'm smelling that fish broiling in there. I'm just going to peek at it. Oh, and there's the buzzer. Let's give it a peek. Oh, yum. Look at that. Really good. I'm going to pull it out, and I'm just going to test that with a fork. Because there's nothing worse than undercooked or overcooked fish. This is not quite ready, so I'm just going to turn it gently to the other side. It's just about done. It's so close. Especially this thinner fillet. Alright, I'm just going to stick that back in for 2 minutes. Alright, let's keep going on this coleslaw. Alright, it's just lightly dressed is what I'd call it. Really, really good. Alright, that's good. We're going to set that aside. I've also chopped up, I had a tomato still left from my garden. They're coming off little by little off of my vine I pulled out of the ground, so it's not looking that deep red color like I'd like it to, but it's good enough for us to eat. So I've chopped up some tomato. I've decided not to go with any onion, because onion to me on this fish, the fish is so lightly flavored, and I want the other flavors to come through that I've put on it, the jerk and the coleslaw and the green sauce and all that, that I didn't want to put any onion, because the only onion that I have left is kind of a strong white onion, a yellow onion. But if you have some red onion, that would be good to chop up and put on the sandwich. Alright, let's get our thin bread ready. I am going to put just a little light layer of oil on my bread. You could also put a little layer of butter on it, but I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on it. And brush it on. With a knife. Alright. No need to get fancy here. Just get a little oil on there. I just want this to crisp up my bread. I'm not looking for a flavor here. You can tell that fish is getting cooked in there. And one more. And there's my buzzer. Alright. Yum. Alright. That is nice. And see, you can just put it in there and forget about it. See how it flakes nice? Oh, yep, that is perfectly done. Just flaky, flaky. You don't want to cook it any more than that because your fish will get tough. And that is definitely not a good way to have fish. Tough fish. Alright, let's grab another cookie sheet out. Just put our thin buns. I'm going to leave one uncoated. That's for me. A little lower fat. Okay. Put that under the broiler. Just for about a minute. If you don't watch that really closely, you'll have burned thin buns. Alright. Let's just get a plate. Get ready to build our sandwich. Got our fork. Get another pair of tongs. Our coleslaw. Alright. Looking good. Okay, let's get our buns out. Yum. On top of that. Doesn't take long at all. Alright. Let's get a bottom here. I'm just going to put some fish right on that sandwich. Alright, you really want to get a loaded sandwich. I'm going to put just a little bit more on there. Alright, fish, and some coleslaw, that spicy green dressing, just a few tomatoes, lid on the top. Alright, and there you have it, a fish po' boy sandwich. Super easy, takes maybe 10-15 minutes at the max. Great way to have fish. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. Can't wait to have a bite of this. Yum. See you next time.